Rain, 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 and more rain. That's the reputation of the weather in the Pacific Northwest. But let me tell you, there's way more to it than what meets the eye. Hey there, Dani Colito here with eXp Realty in beautiful Bellingham, Washington. So not only am I a full-time realtor here in Bellingham, but I'm a mom, I'm an active member in the community, and I also moved here just over 13 years ago. So I love creating these videos for people who are thinking about moving to Bellingham, sharing my experiences, and even helping you guys move here. If at any point during this video you think you want to talk to me more about moving to Bellingham or more about this video, please pause the video, scroll on down, all my contact info is below. I would love to hear from you. All right, now let's get into the video. Let's talk about the nitty-gritty of the weather here specifically in Bellingham, Washington. So this is my perspective. I moved here from the Midwest over 13 years ago, where we have blizzards in the winter, very extreme, heat waves in the summer, super hot. And let me tell you, it is nothing like that here. When you first come to Bellingham, you hear that it rains all the time, but yet you're looking around and you don't see people with umbrellas everywhere. So something that I learned early on that I want to share with you is that you can tell who is not from here by the people carrying the umbrellas. So nobody here really carries umbrellas. Everybody just kind of layers, checks the weather, know what's going to be going on in the day. Because even though there's this misconception that it's raining all the time, it's really not. We have sprinkling throughout the day, and we have a lot more gray days than actual rainy days. So keep that in mind. If you are moving here, thinking about moving here to the Pacific Northwest, Bellingham in particular, I would prepare yourself for gray days, maybe thinking about going on a vacation in January, get some sunshine, taking vitamin D, getting those sunlights is a really great idea. So I really want to dig in deep to the weather here in Bellingham, Washington. I think it's something that keeps people from really committing to move here because they just think it rains all the time. And let me tell you, that could not be further from the truth. Let's start with spring. So I love spring. It is mild. I would say that's the key word for the weather here in Bellingham, mild. All the seasons are more mild than, I guess, in the Midwest or on the East Coast, or even in the South. Spring is a time of renewal. So I love spring here because we're just getting out of winter where it is its darkest time. So spring, we start to see the flowers starting to bloom. Everything is getting really green again. The leaves are starting to come back and it's very mild. So we'll have maybe a week of like drizzly gray days and then we'll have some sunshine and it'll go back and forth and back and forth. It's really mild. So I would say temperature would be in the 50s. All right, next is summer. Personally, being from the Midwest, I live for the summer here. It is my favorite time of year here. I think when I moved here at first, we would take a lot of vacations in the summer, but after being here, I really realized there's no better place to be in the summer than the Pacific Northwest. It's still mild. I would say it's in the 70s. Sometimes we get up into the 80s. Sometimes we'll get a little bit into the 90s. Very rarely though, it's usually just kind of hangs out in the 70s. Next is fall. So let's talk about fall. I also love fall. The changing of the leaves here is absolutely breathtaking. Taking a drive down Mount Baker Highway, leaves are changing everywhere. Again, it's mild, so it's a great time of year to get out if you have the right gear. You can still go hiking, you can still go kayaking, you can still do all of those things that you like to do. You just need the right gear for it. We're getting those gray days. We're starting to get into maybe a week of gray, a week of drizzle, but we're never getting like huge torrential downpours, I would say. Really mild. Autumn here is absolutely beautiful. Last but not least is the winter. So if you snowboard or ski, you would love the winter here in Bellingham. Downtown Bellingham, you're about an hour 15, hour and a half from Mount Baker, which is one of the best, most notorious mountains for skiing and snowboarding in the US. If you don't like to drive out to the mountain, we have buses that take people out to the mountain. It's called the Baker Bus. And it's a great one for high school kids and middle school kids as well, or if you just don't feel comfortable driving out there in the winter. So winter is also mild. We'll get snow maybe a week or two in the winter. We'll get maybe a few snow days so the kids don't have to go to school, but it is nothing like the Midwest, nothing like the East Coast. We're not getting blizzards. We don't have plow trucks constantly. We don't have salt trucks constantly. We get more rain in the winter, to be honest with you. Now, if you're more closer to Mount Baker, you will get more snowy days. But in town, in Bellingham, very mild. You don't really have to worry about it snowing too much. Again, maybe just a few snow days from your kiddos at school. All right, thank you so much for tuning in. Weather is a huge topic of discussion, especially for people moving here to Bellingham. So I hope I busted a little bit of myths and made it a little bit more desirable for you to consider moving to Bellingham, or really knowing that it's not gonna be raining all the time. I absolutely promise you it is not raining here all the time. I love the weather here. My parents even moved here after living in Illinois for 50, 60 years. They moved out here to retire, and a big reason that they moved out here was the weather. It's mild. They're not always having air conditioning on in the summer. They're not having to pull their car and dig their car out of the snow in the winter. It's a wonderful place to live. I do love the weather here. I do plan for vacations in January or February when I really need that sunshine. Thank you so much for tuning in. It really means the world that you come here and watch my videos. I hope you get something out of it. And if you do want to talk about moving to Bellingham, I would love to connect with you. All my contact info is below. See you next time. Thanks for watching.